UFC 302, Makhachev versus Poirier. We're going to break down this fight card. I'm going to give you my picks for each and every fight of this card. Before we start, guys, one simple request. If you may, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Before we start, I appreciate that. With that being said, let's move on to the first fight. We got André Lima taking this other guy called Niam Tume something, okay? So let's start with André Lima. André Lima is a very well-rounded MMA fighter. People see him only as a striker, but he has a jiu-jitsu black belt. He's training wrestling. He has good wrestling defense and offense, and he has good jiu-jitsu. But most of his fights, he prefers to stay on the feet where he has, I would say, the superior advantage. On the other side, we got this guy who's 8-0, but coming out of, I would say, questionable. He has a questionable record. Okay, most of the guys he fought are not that high level. Okay, he got some wins from Rowe to UFC. He had a split decision. Got a lot of finishes against guys, but you can see 1-1, 2-2, 2-1, 0-0, 15-10. And here is taking on a guy who's very good, who had good competition. In his last fight against Severino, I actually had Severino. I think Severino was winning. Like he started to take over, and for some reason he decided to bite him. But with that being said, I don't think that Niam is on the level of Severino, and even Severino started using his wrestling more, and I don't see Niam taking down André Lima. He's also very open in his boxing, so that can leave gaps for Lima to really utilize his kickboxing and get him out of there. My pick is Lima. I like him to win. I think he's overall the better fighter. I think he's gonna win probably by finish. Next fight, we got Jocelyn Edwards and Ailin Perez. This is gonna be an interesting fight. These two had a history together where I think Jocelyn assaulted Perez for some reason, and this is gonna be heated. The face-off is gonna be heated. With that being said, my pick here would be Ailin Perez. I think that her offensive wrestling would be enough to keep Jocelyn controlled. Edwards has shown that she has good good judo throws, and I don't know if it's gonna be enough here, because even in our last fight against a striker, Nora Cornell, and this was I would say this is a close fight. I think that Perez would have enough wrestling offense to just control her most of the fight and do enough damage when she's controlled. I'm not really high on Jocelyn Edwards striking. Like, again, she's not really, she's good, but she's not elite anywhere. She got a lot of knockouts, but that's probably most in her earlier in her career. So yeah, I'm gonna pick Ailin to win here. But I do like the over 2.5. I do see this fight going to a decision, because Edwards is tough. She was only submitted, but she was never knocked out. I don't think she's gonna get submitted here. With that being said, my pick is Perez to win. Next fight, we got Gall taking on Bassil Hafez. We got two jiu-jitsu guys. We saw Hafez coming into the fight with Jack Della. He's surprised, like he was a heavy underdog, and he gave he gave Madalena problems with his wrestling. He was gassed bad. Like I would say in the third round, he was already like, he was on survival mode. And yeah, and he had more control time, but Della Maddalena had more damage. But don't forget, he came short notice. He's fighting now. Mickey Gall is a very good jiu-jitsu guy. He has notable wins on Sage Northcutt, who was like hyped back then. Listen, I don't know, because I would say that Hafez is good enough to survive the grappling, and he would probably be able to knock out Gall. This is a stay away for me. But what we've seen back then was short notice Bassil Hafez. I don't know how he looks like when he actually prepares for a fight. Obviously, he should look better. So my pick here is Hafez, but probably a stay away. Next fight, we got Alex Morono and Niko Price. Man, I had money on Alex Morono in his last fight, which wasn't too long ago, against Court McGee. It was not long ago at all. It was 1 month ago. And, he didn't look that good. It was a close fight. He won the first and the third round, but on the second round, McGee looked really well. He's taking on Niko Price, who's coming off of 2 losses to Phil Rowe and that knockout he received from Robbie Lawler. I feel like Price is more of a killed or be killed type of fighter. He has no chin. And that's, for me, from my experience, I'm not betting on guys that has no chin. It's just not worth it. He may look good the entire 3 rounds, and at the end of the third round, he gets clipped, and that's it. So I'm not picking Niko Price to win. I'm not betting on Niko Price. Will he win? I don't know. It should be a close fight. But I do think that Alex Morono is the better fighter. He has the better grappling for sure. The problem with him, he doesn't have really good wrestling, or he doesn't utilize his wrestling enough. But he has more of a good offensive jiu-jitsu, Morono. Like, he has really good guillotines, and he almost caught McGee with his guillotine. And he got good defensive wrestling as well. I think he's going to win. I see him winning. He can win in any way. Like, if we look at Price record, he got submitted in the past. This is going to be an interesting fight. I like the under here. This can go under. But if I have to pick a fighter to win out of the 2, that fighter would be Morono. Next fight, we got Phil Rowe and Jake Matthews. Phil Rowe is a very good grappler. If you look at his record, he has a lot of grappling matches. You can see here against Nick Galanti, Craig Jones, Jonathan Perezma, Gordon Ryan. With that being said, we are looking here at the fight that's going to happen on the feet as well. Now, Jake Matthews is a good grappler on his own, and he's a good striker. He's overall a really good fighter. He's coming off a loss, I think, to the Ecuadorian fighter. What's his name? Michael Morales. But he looked good against Darius Flowers. I just think that overall his game is better. He's very tough. He has good jiu-jitsu. He can keep the fight standing if he wants to with his wrestling. And I'm picking Jake Matthews to win. I think overall he's the better fighter compared to Phil Rowe. But, it's going to be an interesting one. I'm not going to bet on it, but I'm taking Jake Matthews to win. Next fight, another chinless fighter. We got Grant Dawson taking on Joe Solecki. Let me tell you something. I'm still scarred by his loss to Bobby Green because I had a max bet on Rand Dawson. Very, very bad move on my side. The thing is, I think Dawson's going to win, but I can't trust him. Like, I wouldn't put a dime on him. I hope he wins so I could fade him in the future. But this is going to be an interesting one because Joe Solecki has good jiu-jitsu. Okay, Grant Dawson is more of a wrestler. Like, he has good wrestling, he can take your back. But Joe Solecki is a good jiu-jitsu guy, and he can definitely be a problem for Dawson when it comes to the grappling side of things. He's coming off this loss to Drakkar Klose where he almost got the win, but he got slammed and knocked out. I don't know. This is going to be an interesting one. I think that Grant Dawson wrestling would give him the win, but Zaleski might surprise. He might catch him coming in because he already knows that he has no chin. So that might happen. So it's a very dangerous fight. I'll take Dawson to win, but I won't be surprised if Zaleski knocks him out. Next fight. This is a fight I'm waiting for. This is a fight I'm very excited about. We got César Almeida and Roman Kopylov. We got two really, really, really good strikers. We got on one side César Almeida, who's a glory kickboxer, has a win against Alex Pereira. He fought against the best when it comes to striking. And we got Kopylov, who's a very dangerous striker. If you'll see his record, most of his wins are coming by first round knockout. And I like both of them. I really do. I picked Almeida to win since he had his debut against his contender fight against Fernando, and I've picked him in his debut against Bodka. And I'm picking him now because I don't think Kopylov will try to grapple with him. I think César Almeida will have a striking match with Kopylov. Now, Kopylov is a kickboxer. He's a great kickboxer on his own. But I think that there's levels. And although he has the good wins against people like Soriano, Claudio Ribeiro, Elizeu, he never faced a guy at the level of César Almeida. He never faced a guy in his level when it comes to striking. I think César Almeida will stay calm, will be calculated, and will get the win. Either by, I say decision because Kopylov is tough. Like, if you look at Kopylov losses, he got finished only when he got submitted. He had this grueling fight against Duraev where Duraev just sat on him and kept punching his face, and he stayed there. He's tough. Kopylov is tough, but again, for 3 rounds, I think the César Almeida strategy will work. So I'm picking Almeida. I've been picking him since he started his contender series fight, and I will keep picking him for now. Next fight, starting the main card, we got Randy Brown fighting Elizeu Zaleski. Man, Zaleski is good. He is really good. He won against Benoit Saint-Denis. He won against Abubakar Nurmagomedov. He won against Rinat Fakhr. He didn't win, but he was very close to finishing Rinat in the 3rd round. And he's taking Randy Brown. The only problem I see that Zaleski might have here is the reach of Randy Brown, but I don't trust Randy Brown because he's chinny. He already had 2 knockout losses in the second round. And, you know, he lost to Niko Price, hammer fist from bottom position. So I can't trust Randy Brown betting wise. Can he win? He can win, obviously, but I think Zaleski has that. He has that dog in him. He can just push, and find that chin. He's good everywhere. He's dangerous with his grappling, and he's dangerous with his. He has heavy hands. So I'm picking Zaleski to win, and you get him as an underdog. So it's even better. Next fight, we got Alexander Romanov and Jailton Almeida. This is a stay away from me. You really don't know what you're going to get. Like Jailton Almeida, he looked phenomenal in his first fight against Curtis Blades in the first round, not the fight. But then the second round, I think he gassed himself. He came like, first of all, I don't think he should be heavyweight. I think he should go to light heavyweight, which fits him more with his body composition. And he just gassed himself in the first round. The second round, he tried to take him down, Blades, but he couldn't. And Blade just started punching him while he was staying there. He didn't even try to leave he didn't try to do anything. He just fell on the floor, crawling like just going into a fetus position. And I can't lay my money on this guy, especially not as a minus 300 favorite. Now, Romanov, you really don't know what you're going to get. Like, up to his fight against Tybura, he looked like a world beater. But then, after his fight, after his loss from Volkov, it looked really bad. Yeah, you just can't trust this guy. I can't trust both, so this is a stay away from me. I will say that I think Almeida will win here, but I'm not betting on this fight. Next one, we got Kevin Holland and Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. Holland is coming off 2 losses to Michael Page and Jack Della Maddalena, and he's coming here in short notice. I think he can win here because he's tough, right? We saw how tough he is in his fight against Michael Venom Page, and we saw that Mikhail just got submitted by Pereira because he couldn't, Pereira hit him, I think it was a kick to his stomach, and he couldn't breathe, and it was game over. I see Holland doing the same thing. He has sneaky submissions, long arms. He can definitely do the same thing that Michael Pereira did to him. I'm picking Holland. He's coming up for short notice, so I don't know how he's gonna look like. But I would say he has the tools to win here. Co-main event, we got Sean Strickland against Paulo Costa. It's gonna be a fun one to watch, and I'm really, this is gonna be interesting because Sean Strickland gets better as the fight goes on, and when he fights 5 rounds, it usually benefits him. We saw that in his fight with Israel Adesanya and Dricus du Plessis, which was a controversial loss. Now, 3 rounds with Costa is going to be interesting because Costa is very dangerous. He's very strong. He looked really good in his fight against Whitaker. So this might be a very close fight. I'm not 100% confident that Strickland can win. I also don't know where his mental place is. You can see him on Twitter. you know, talking shit all the time. Sometimes, you know, he's very emotional. Sometimes he's not. It's very hard for me to put my money on someone who's emotionally not, I would say he's not stable. With all the respect, I love you, Sean, but I still think he's gonna win. Okay, I still think he's gonna win. Will I bet on him? I don't think so. But the pick is Strickland. Main event, we got Islam Makhachev and Dustin Poirier. Well, I'm not betting against Makhachev, but I really want Dustin to win here. Listen, Islam is smart enough to be wrestling here. I'm not saying he cannot strike with Dustin. I just think he's smart enough to not strike with him. We saw that Poirier in his fight against Benoit, you know, the first round Benoit was dominating him with his wrestling, and then he started to gas and he got knocked out. Islam Makhachev is not gonna gas, and Islam Makhachev has way better wrestling than Benoit. Way better wrestling. So when I look at both of those things, I just see Islam actually getting the submission, whether it's going to be a rear naked choke or not. But don't count out Dustin, you know. He's always dangerous. He almost cut Khabib with his guillotine back then. But I think Islam Makhachev is a better fighter than Khabib was. I really do. Especially with his striking and overall jiu-jitsu, because Khabib was more of a pressure guy. He would just pressure you, lay on you for 3 rounds. But man, Islam Makhachev has much more finishes when you compare him to Khabib. And I think he's gonna make this fight look easy. I think he's gonna take down Poirier and he's gonna submit him. But again, I'm not counting out Dustin, but the pick would be Makhachev. Yeah, that's it, guys. If you have different opinions or you have the same opinions, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one.